The photographs featured here were composed on one day out of 6 weeks that I spent in the field off the island of Dominica. During this day, I spent most of my time with two specific members of this family. One is a 2.5-year-old sperm whale calf, and the other is his older brother, who is approximately 15 years of age. But my first encounter was with their mother in the morning, and she had swam up to me while I was in the water and made a very close pass, the closest that I had experienced in those 6 weeks, and I wasn't able to compose any meaningful photographs of her at that close of a distance. It was about 8 feet, but her tailstock and her dorsal fin were close to me, so I took pictures of them, just wanting to see what they would look like. And she swam on by and prepared her foraging dive, and they usually will take anywhere from 5 to 10 breaths and then dive to depths greater than 3,000 feet and stay down for 45 minutes. And so she did that, and I noticed her calf, and he began to swim over to me and started to swim underneath and roll around and just look at me. And my protocol for photographing whales safely and sustainably is to remain motionless and very predictable and slow when I move in the water. In this instance, I just stayed flat on the surface and observed. And he started to become more inquisitive. He eventually settled right next to me at about 4 feet away, which was a little too close, and I tried to move away from him, but he would just follow me, so I gave up and just floated next to him and spent 40 minutes opportunistically composing portraits of his face and photos along his body. I could only compose photographs to his dorsal fin. Whales generally don't like it if you swim by their fluke because it's hard for them to see you, and they become very uncomfortable and agitated, so I always stayed within eye contact, and that meant I had to wait for him to swim by me so that I could photograph his tailstock and his fluke, and I had several opportunities to do that, and so that allowed me to produce my first complete full-body, life-size composite photograph of a whale featured here. It's made up of about 50 megapixel photographs composed with a Hasselblad H3D 50 in an underwater housing. The final print measures roughly 6 by 20 feet. I had estimated the whale to be approximately 16 feet in length and had to allow for water on either side of the whale, in front and back. This day was made even more special because Shane Juro, a PhD student with Hal Whitehead's lab, was with us that day. He was in his own boat, and I had the wonderful opportunity to learn about each family member. Shane has spent over 1,500 hours studying this family in particular, and he has an intimate knowledge of them as individuals, so it made it a very rewarding experience, and I learned a tremendous amount. And this is the elder brother. He is 15 years of age approximately, and he is known by the locals of Dominica to be very friendly and inquisitive of people in boats. And thankfully, so far nobody's been hurt by this behavior, but there's always a risk when you're in the water with a 30-ton inquisitive, playful whale. So I had 2 encounters with him in that day, and he was actually too close to me and too active to make my life-size composite photographs. There's a lot of things that have to happen for it to work, and if the whale is rolling on its horizontal axis, it ruins the composites, and so instead I focused on just composing photographs around his eye and trying to produce a big portrait of his head. And in this photo here, I completed a 5-image composite portrait of his head. It's printed as a true photograph. It's called the light jet print process, and the printer produces 6 by 10 foot photographs, and it's printed on photosensitive paper and exposed digitally with a laser beam, and it's really exciting to make a true photograph at those dimensions of a whale that's life-size. So it was really just one day with this family, and I'm hoping to reunite with them in 2010 and continue my work, in particular with the 15-year-old male, and see if I can finally produce a full-body composite of him.